But you do believe the government should do those things we can't do for ourselves. Obviously, national defense, police, protecting us from harm, providing a decent education to every child, investing in new roads and bridges and infrastructure, investing in science and technology. Government should reward drive and innovation. We should encourage the free market. But we should also make sure businesses live up to their responsibilities to create American jobs and look out for American workers and create rules of the road so investors and consumers are protected. You know, if we want to get through this crisis, we need to get beyond the old ideological debates between left and right. You know, we don't have to choose between the free market running wild and government takeover of everything. We just need some common sense regulations on Wall Street so that banks don't and other financial institutions don't take crazy risks with other people's money that could threaten everybody's livelihood. We don't need a bigger government or a smaller government. We need a better, smarter, more competent government. A government that upholds our values. We don't have to choose between trying to put a wall around our economy and sending all our jobs overseas. I believe in free trade. It can help all economies grow. But I think it makes sense to have a president who's looking out and making sure there are labor provisions and environmental provisions in there, that we make sure that American workers aren't being taken advantage of because other countries are manipulating their currencies or not allowing our products into their markets. As president, I want to create jobs here in America. And we know that not every job that's disappeared is going to come back. But I tell you what, we can stop giving tax breaks to companies that ship jobs overseas. We can invest in our infrastructure, rebuilding our roads, our bridges, laying broadband lines to go into rural communities so that companies can locate there. I want to spend $15 billion a year in the new energy economy of the future. We can invest in solar and wind and biofuels, and we can build the fuel-efficient cars of tomorrow right here in the United States of America. And when we can create 5 million new green jobs and free ourselves from dependence on Middle Eastern oil, which will strengthen our national security, and guess what? It might save the planet in the bargain. We don't have to argue about no tax cuts versus tax cuts. The question is, who are the tax cuts going to? There's been a lot of misunderstanding about this on the part of the McCain campaign. I want to give a tax break to 95% of working families. Period. These are families that work. They have money taken out of their paycheck every week. Some have income taxes taken out, some have payroll taxes taken out. But they are all paying taxes. Now, it is true that I'm going to roll back the Bush tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. We're going to go back to the rates that existed under Bill Clinton. Rich people were doing just fine. They were doing just fine. John McCain calls that socialism. I call it making sure that we are providing opportunity to every single American so we can continue to grow this economy. Let me just see a quick show of hands. How many people make less than $250,000 a year? Raise your hand. That seems to be the majority. If you are making less than $250,000 a year, you will not pay a dime of higher taxes under an Obama plan. Not your payroll tax, not your capital gains, no tax. And in fact, for small businesses, we're going to lower taxes. On small business, we're going to eliminate capital gains taxes for startups that are creating the jobs of the future. And by the way, 98% of small businesses make less than $250,000 a year. And 99.9% of plumbers make less than $250,000 a year. When it comes to health care, we don't have to choose between having a government-run system that gives you no choice and a system in which insurance companies give you no insurance. So what I've said, my plan is very similar to what Hillary Clinton put forward during the campaign. We basically said we'll build off the existing system. If you have health insurance, we're going to work to lower your premiums. If you don't have health insurance, you'll be able to buy into a pool like members of Congress give themselves. And if you can't afford it, we'll subsidize you. And we'll invest in preventive care. And we will invest in new technologies to lower costs for everybody. And when it comes to education, the choice is not between more money and reform. Our schools need both. So I'm going to invest in early childhood education to close the achievement gap. And we're going to raise teachers' salaries and give them more support with higher standards and higher accountability. And I will say to the young people of America, if you are willing to participate in national service, we will make sure you can afford to go to college, no ifs, ands, or buts. And listen, I will not accept an education system where too many of our students attend overflowing classes in underfunded schools, where Hispanic students are dropping out nearly faster than anyone else, and African American students are right behind them. We've got to change our entire approach to education, and that will require a president who's paying attention, who's not just giving lip service. On foreign policy, our choice is not between withdrawing from the world and continuing a perpetual war in Iraq. I will end this war in Iraq responsibly, start bringing our troops home, go after Osama bin Laden and those who killed 3,000 Americans, and we will restore the kind of moral standing that we had when Bill Clinton was president. Think about how beloved Bill Clinton is around the world. Around the world. And it's because he gave the world a sense that he was listening to them and that he cared about them. That's what we need in a president. That helps make us safer. It helps make us safer. Now, I won't stand here and pretend that any of this is going to be easy, especially not now. We've dug a deep hole. And, you know, George Bush wants to hand the shovel over to John McCain. The cost of this economic crisis, the cost of the war in Iraq means we're going to have to tighten our belts. Families are doing it, businesses are doing it, Washington's going to have to do it. There's no question about this. I'm going to have to go through the federal budget line by line. And we're going to have to make some tough choices. And we're going to have to eliminate programs we don't need. Even if we'd like to have them, if we don't need them, we're going to have to eliminate them so we can pay for the things that we do need. But as I've said from the beginning of this journey, the change we need isn't just about new programs. It's just not about new policies. It's about a new politics, a new attitude, a politics that calls on our better angels instead of encouraging our worst instincts, that reminds us of our obligations to ourselves but also to each other. That's what we've lost in the last 8 years. It can't just be measured by lost wages or bigger trade deficit alone. What's also been lost is the idea that each of us has a role to play. Each of us has responsibilities to work hard and look after ourselves and our families, but we also have a responsibility to each other. That's what's been lost, our sense of common purpose, of higher purpose. That's what we need to restore right now. So, yes, the government's going to lead on energy, but everybody here has responsibilities to become more energy efficient. I'm going to invest more money in our schools, but every parent has the responsibility to turn off the TV set and make sure your child is doing their homework. And you know what? All of us have a responsibility to debate our positions passionately, but to also summon the strength and grace to bridge our divisions. All of us, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, young, old, rich, poor, Democrat, Republican, gay, straight, disabled, not disabled, we can't afford to be divided anymore. Despite what our opponents say, there's no fake America and real America. There aren't some parts of America that are more patriotic than other parts of America. Those troops that are in Iraq and Afghanistan, some are Democrats, some are Republicans, some are independents, but they are bleeding